Hey Spark, I hope you are well. Hopefully you all are safe at home and enjoying your families. We're going to close out our April series. This is part 4 of Back to the Basics. So far this month we've covered the following things: love, belief, and doubt. Today I want to close out looking at a very familiar passage from Matthew 28, which I'll get to in a second. But first, most of you all know that I teach full-time. My full-time job is I'm a teacher at a high school here in the metro Atlanta area. What you might not know is that I went to school for that after I got my undergrad degree from Fisk University. So I spent 2 years being taught how to be a teacher. And I remember in particular, they told us week 1, do you want to teach elementary school or middle and high school? I said, absolutely middle and high school. They asked why. I said, because when you teach middle and high school, they know how to do school already. I have to teach them how to do school. And they said, are you sure? I was like, I'm positive. I want to teach middle and high school because they already know how to do school. So they gave us this pointless class, or so I thought, on classroom procedures. And they told you, you have to model for your students what you want them to do. I was like, I don't have to model for high school students. They know what to do. They said, you have to model, and the best teachers model for their students what they want them to do. I was like, no, high school students know what to do. It's going to be fine. I'm going to be a great teacher. So, fast forward to 2016. I get into my own classroom. Week 2 of school, we're starting the times, and I tell my students to head their paper. Now, a heading I thought was common knowledge. I thought everyone knew how to head a paper. Name, date, class period. That's how we did it in high school. I thought every high school student knew instinctively how to head a paper. When I got them things back, you would have thought I was speaking a foreign language. Some had their name in the upper left-hand corner. Some had the name here, date here, no class period. Some had no date. Some had just their first name. Some just put the class period. And I stared at the papers and I was like, I could blame them, but I could also blame myself. And in the back of my head, I heard my professor saying, good teachers have to model what they expect from their students. And when I first became a Christian, no one talked about modeling. I got saved when I was 8 years old. And I was told, you have to do this to be a good Christian. Do this, do this, do this. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. But no one ever showed me how to be a good Christian. They just kept telling me and telling me and telling me. So when I began to share my faith, really when I was in high school, I was that person who was a diehard of do this, don't do this, don't do this. Let me tell you, people don't like being told what to do and what not to do. And the more I kept harping on them, the more I got cussed out. People don't like being told how to live their life. But sharing our faith is important. So if we can't tell them how to live their life, maybe we can do something else. Maybe we can model for them how to live their life. And I think we learn that lesson best from Jesus. Throughout his ministry, Jesus really modeled for us how to live. Yes, he did sermons and yes, he taught, but he really modeled how to live. And I think we get these instructions really clearly in his last words to his disciples. Real quick, wherever you are, go to Matthew 28. Matthew 28. And then go to verses 19 and 20. Matthew 28, 19 and 20. Here's what it says from the NRSV. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything that I have commanded you. And remember, I am with you always to the end of the age. Now in church, we often focus on verse 19, talking about being baptized. And I think that's really important. People should get baptized. I think we often miss the importance of verse 20, where Jesus says, teaching people to observe everything that I have commanded you. Now, I've already said, good teachers model what they want from their students. They don't just tell them. When you look at the early church, when you look at what happens after Jesus goes back to heaven, the early church really models what the faith is about. They model fellowship. They model compassion. They model love. Yes, they talk about it, but people really flock to the early church because they model fellowship, compassion, love, forgiveness. They model these things, and modeling the faith drew people into Christianity. We've done so much talking throughout the history of Christianity about how to live. What would happen if we actually modeled how to live? Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, try modeling your faith. Try showing people how to love, showing people how to forgive, showing people how to be compassionate. See what happens. People might not respond, but what you might be doing is starting a revolution of love, forgiveness, compassion. You might be modeling what the Lord wants from us. Be blessed, Spark. Have a good one.